The Baldwins, all about us. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Perma-angry actor Alec Baldwin and pseudo-Spanish wife Hilaria Baldwin love nothing more than being the centre of attention. An instance where two narcissists have come together and there has been cementation. These two self-absorbed individuals need to ensure that it's always about them. You have seen in parts passing my dissection of Alec Baldwin and Hilaria Baldwin to confirm why they are both narcissists, albeit of differing types. And I provided you with recent events in relation to Alec Baldwin and the manslaughter charges to help you understand his behaviour and reaction through the lens of his narcissism. The fact is that two people were shot, one of them losing their life as a consequence of negligent activity on the set of Rust. The fact that somebody was injured and another person died is clearly tragic. But that isn't at the forefront of the mind of Alec Baldwin. No. It has to be about him and his wife, because as per Yahoo and a report from Kristen Myers, actor Alec Baldwin claims that his wife, Hilaria Baldwin, was traumatized by the 2021 shooting on the Western film Rust. So here we are, 3 years later, whereby criminal charges were not pursued, civil cases had been brought, and the fact is that Halyna Hutchins lost her life. But what actually matters to Alec Baldwin? Oh, it's to talk about the fact that his wife, who of course is an extension of him, has been traumatized by the shooting. Forget the fact that Halyna Hutchins is dead. Forget the fact that her family are in mourning still, missing somebody who was part of their lives, no doubt still unsure as to what actually happened. Rather than maintain a dignified silence, it's important, of course, for Alec Baldwin to let the world know that the extension of himself, pseudo-Spaniard Hilaria Baldwin, was traumatized. Yes, this is the information that you all needed to know today. The 30 Rock actor had been holding a gun while rehearsing a scene inside of a church when the weapon went off, striking and killing cinematographer Halyna Hutchins. Director Joel Souza was also hospitalized as a result of the incident. While accepting the Torino Film Festival's Lifetime Achievement Award, which of course will show that people are under control and provides him with fuel, Alec Baldwin spoke about the Rust shooting, which he described as the most difficult thing I've ever dealt with in my life. Thanks, Alec. We all needed to know that, and it's good to see expressing sympathy there for the victims of the shooting that took place on your watch, under your production. But nevertheless, it's the most difficult thing that you've had ever to deal with. Now, that might well be true, but of course, because this man has no self-awareness other than the necessity of talking about himself, he needs to ensure that he talks about it being the most difficult thing that he's ever dealt with in his life. I think it'd be rather more difficult for Halyna Hutchins, seeing as she's dead. The actor had initially been charged with involuntary manslaughter in January 2023. However, the charges were dropped in April, pending further investigation into the gun used in the shooting. After an FBI forensics test concluded that the trigger had to be pulled for the gun to fire, charges were renewed in January 2024. However, on the third day of his July trial, Judge Mary Marlowe Sommer dismissed the trial with prejudice after finding that prosecutors violated the Brady Rule and withheld evidence that would have been favourable to the defence. As such, Baldwin can no longer be criminally charged for his role in Hutchins' death. He had been facing a maximum sentence of 18 months behind bars, if convicted. After the judge dismissed criminal charges against her husband, Baldwin's wife, Hilaria Baldwin, was seen crying in the courtroom, naturally wanting to ensure that all eyes were on her. Baldwin told Variety at the film festival, "Beyond the victims themselves, the thing that most pains me is what it did to my wife. My wife has been very, very traumatized from this. There has been a lot of pain. When you are married to somebody and everything was going fairly well, and we had 7 kids, and the floor falls out, it's very frightening and very disturbing," the actor added. Now, that may well, of course, be true, because the prospect of criminal action against him and the possibility of being sent to the Alabama Slammer may well have caused fear. He's a narcissist and therefore does experience fear. But rather than recognise that the real tragedy related to Helena Hutchins and not him and his family, rather than keep his mouth shut, naturally his narcissism drives him to want to talk about it in terms of how it's affected him and how it's affected his wife, rather than maintain a dignified silence, or rather say something along the lines of, "I can't comprehend how this will have impacted upon Helena Hutchins' family. Those are the people that we need to be thinking about." We're then told about how many children they've got and all of their names and ages. We're also told that although the crew was able to finish the movie after moving production from New Mexico to Montana, the Beetlejuice actor believes that the film will always be overshadowed by Helena Hutchins' tragic death. "And we are trying to get the wind in our sails to get away from this stuff." Nullification of threat to control, Baldwin told the outlet. "Because the film doesn't stand by itself. It's always going to be overshadowed by this." Which, of course, will piss off the perma-raging Baldwin, because it's his film and he wants it to shine. He doesn't want it to be overshadowed, because subconsciously that is a threat to his need for control. He went on to state, "That's sad, because when we started, I put my shoulder into this the way I did, helping them to write a script and to bring all these other things. I endured multiple rises and falls with this like a souffle. Up, down, trying to find a location, to find money, and stuck with this for a couple of years. Then we finally got it made. When we arrived on set, we were all elated. We were so happy. Like all independent films, there were a lot of time considerations. We were on a tough schedule. But we were all happy to be there. We were happy to make the film, and I'm happy that the film got completed. It's been such a tragedy, which of course we would do anything to undo." Yes, here's Alec Baldwin likening his experiences to a souffle, going up and down, because that's what really matters, how Alec Baldwin feels about all of this, and nothing to do with the fact of Helena Hutchins' death. Following the tragedy, he revealed he'd no plans to watch the finished version of the film beyond the rough cut that he's already saw. "I was sent a rough cut early on before everything got a little more sticky and difficult, so I haven't seen the film. But again, I hope the film is released, that it comes out, that it makes its money back for its investors. You never want these people who believed in your project to be left high and dry." However, Helena Hutchins' mother, Olga Solovi, has accused Baldwin through her attorney, Gloria Allred, of trying to unjustly profit from his killing of my daughter by releasing the film and refused to attend the premiere or the panel that honoured her daughter before the screening. Baldwin told Variety that he was very sick and physically drained and ill following the shooting. He claims that doctors recommended he stop work on the film when production resumed in Montana over a year after the shooting. However, Baldwin insisted that he finish up his work and went anyway. So stunning and brave. After all, he was only very sick and physically drained and ill, compared to Helena Hutchins, who was dead. I said to Joel, "Are you going to do it? If you think it's important to do this, I'll do it. If it's the only way we can settle the case with Hutchins' husband and the estate is to finish the film, let's do it." So we go to Montana. We finish, and I waived my fee. "Oh, you're so generous." I gave them back the fee in the budget. I waived all my back end. I gave everything to her husband, Baldwin added. Although this has yet to be confirmed by Helena Hutchins' husband, Matthew. May well be promised gain. Thus, here we have the self-absorbed Alec Baldwin telling us about his nightmarish life following the shooting. How awful it was for his wife, who was very, very traumatised. She wasn't even there. She didn't attend. She didn't see the shooting. Perhaps what really traumatised her was the prospect of losing money, seeing all of those dollar bills go flying out of the window, and a criminal court case looming. As ever, it's always about Baldwin and his wife. Anybody else would probably be in prison by now for manslaughter, but not him. he's managed to get away with it, that he bangs on about how it's affected him and his wife without any consideration whatsoever for the impact upon Helena Hutchins's family. After all, it traumatized her to the extent she died. But the fact is, she's dead. And all that Baldwin can do is wank on about the fact of how it impacted upon him and his wife. It just shows what matters to them, and it isn't Helena Hutchins, demonstrating the absence of emotional empathy of the narcissist. ×2. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.